This is going to be part one of MyCap introduction. Part two, we'll go over the second half of the introduction for MyCap. So to start off, this MyCap presentation was created by generating one of the templates. Kind of just to go over that, when you go to create a new project, you'll title it such. You'll either place your PI. In this case, since this is a practice one, I am the project owner. You'll select the purpose, but what's neat about this is you do have some generated templates. As I previously mentioned, I did use the MyCap example project, as this does have some really good things already created into the project, which we'll kind of go into detail on part one, part two. So when you do create your project, the first step when it comes to getting it going in your project setup, which can also be located under Project Home and Design, you're going to come with the section here where you can enable it using the MyCap participant facing mobile app. They'll enable that. I would kind of like to show you what that looks like from scratch. So when you do enable it, you're going to be prompted with this message here. It's going to give you some instructions. More importantly, I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with your user rights, but you want to make sure anyone that's going to be dealing with your MyCap participants or the interface, you want to make sure you give them those user rights. It's going to give you some instructions when it comes to your designer, but this is a very important note here. It automatically, once you enable it, is going to create a few fields with an action tag called MC participant joint date, MC participant code. I'll show you those, what that looks like in the designer. So as you can see, these are automatically going to be put into your first form. Your first form is always automatically going to be generated when you create a new project. These are going to be hidden using action tags. So these are going to be hidden and should never be deleted because these are pretty much set up to communicate with your MyCap, which again is a mobile app for your participants. This is going to fetch that data for when the participants installed it, your install date, time zone, and participant code. These, as you'll see later in the presentation, are very important as they can be the information set up for your baseline date. So one thing to note on top of that, before we do dive in a little deeper, MyCap should not be confused with the REDCap mobile app. As again, the REDCap mobile app is going to be something used for when you don't have any Wi-Fi, any network connection, such as rural areas and SOSAV 3 points, Navajo nations, versus MyCap, it needs to have Wi-Fi. Again, this is on a mobile app in order to integrate. With MyCap, you can secure message, you can do data synchronization, create custom tasks, improve participant engagement. So to learn more when it comes to MyCap, by clicking here in that same function, you're going to have some 3 videos that Vanderbilt has created. They're very useful, so I would highly recommend if you're interested in MyCap, you go ahead and click on them here. When you first click on them, it seems like they do not work, but on the back of your screen, you're going to be able to see those videos do populate. There are, again, 3 videos, which are ranging anywhere between 13 to 12 minutes. So those 3 videos can be located here. Clicking on this just shows you the interface using the survey distribution tool, what your participants are going to see when they are setting up joining your study. It gives you some good information when it comes to MyCap. More importantly, these are supported using the Apple iPhone or Android, but in order to use this application, they at least need to have a version 11 for Apple users, and Android's need to be in version 8. It gives you also some good information for resources. So very similar to REDCap's FAQ, it's going to take you to the MyCap homepage itself, where it'll give you some very important informations. FAQs, as I mentioned, you can click there, give you some frequently asked questions as far as what is MyCap, how does it work, what is the difference when it comes into the other interfaces. Scrolling down at the bottom here, your current limitations, highlight them here. So there are a few things that are not supported when it comes to the MyCap, such as piping, smart variables, field embedding, special functions, calculated fields, and most action tags, such as hidden. All MC prefix action tags are supported. Branching logic is partially supported, in which simple single statements, so such as and or special functions. So an example would be field equals 1. Very simple branching logic, nothing too complex, but it does go over your limitations when it does come to MyCAP. So that's something to note. So we've enabled our MyCAP. So once you enable that, you're going to be prompted with this here under your data collection. This will pop up new, your MyCAP participant management. We'll dive in deeper into this for part 2. So I'd like to kind of go into now the designer of it. So you've enabled your MyCAP. So now this is when you get to have fun. You get to start to build your project. So when you create your MyCap, very similar to the one that didn't have anything, you'll kind of start to build it from scratch. All you would have is your MC action tags. As we previously mentioned, this was using an example. So you'll create your instrument names. One thing that's going to be new, you're going to have your MyCap tasks, which you'll enable them one by one. One thing to note though is you can see, well, why is it that this doesn't have the MyCap, the little figure thing? That's due to the fact that the first instrument in a project cannot be enabled from MyCap because it's used to create the participant's record, which must exist prior to generating a participant's unique MyCap access information such as QR or URL. So REDCap again does not support the calculated fields, piping, descriptive text, or dynamic SQL fields and signatures. With that note, signatures, you cannot consent any participants using MyCap. It has to be done in the REDCap project on its own. It's not going to be supported into your MyCap. So we've created these tasks. So as you can see, these haven't been enabled. So that's what it's going to look like on its own. But if you go ahead and click on these here, you're going to be prompted up with this window. Very similar to your survey settings, you're going to want to make sure you activate those tasks. You're going to title them, which is going to be displayed in the participant section. You'll be able to see what that participant section looks like in part 2's presentation. You're going to be prompted with 2 options when it comes to format. So option 1, do you want it to be set up as a questionnaire where each question is going to appear on its own? This is recommended if you are using any branching logic. Again, it has to be very basic. Or do you want it to be in a form where all questions appear on a single screen? Participants need to scroll if the form is long. Branching logic is not supported. The other neat thing it gives you is a cart display. Just like if we've ever filled out a survey, it is pretty neat to see how far along you're coming. Are you 50, 60%? So you can display that there. Or chart, where you can have your participants to see each day to day, how they're doing. Are they at 80%, 50%, 100% when it comes to that? So you do have that flexibility to determine how. Me personally, for the sake of this, I feel like the percentage is the best to kind of give those participants the view of how long it comes. Option settings. You do have a few options when it comes to that. Do you want them to allow and save complete later? Include instruction steps, include the completion steps. So you have that flexibility there when it comes to that. Another thing, when it comes to the scheduling your task here, you have an option. Do you want to have them just to do a one-time for these tasks? Meaning these tasks are going to appear on the app until the participants complete them, but you can set a number of days or delays, which you'll kind of see that the offset there. Or you can set these tasks to be set up on an infinite schedule where these tasks can be completed multiple times per day with a delayed onset and or specific stopping logic. Or you can go with the repeating, where this is going to be set up for a daily, weekly, or monthly task. They can be set with the daily delay or off onset. Or last option, a fixed, where a task can be set to occur on a specific date with or without delayed onset. Go back. So you'll kind of continue going through your options, enabling these. Now, if you take a look at here at this section here, you're going to see these have your active task. So those are going to be set up with this function here where it says import active task. This is again, once you've enabled your MyCap, it's going to take you to the library. And this is where this gets really interesting. So if you click on this here, it's going to prompt you to Apple's iOS, which are generally created by medical engineers, how all of these active tasks will be. Take it back. So your categories are going to be motor active skills, fitness, cognitive, speech, hearing, hand dexterity, and vision. If you take a look at here, our icons, this is going to be the old MyCAP Classic, and it gives you which platforms. Currently, MyCap is utilizing the newer icon due to the fact that it is supported by both platforms, Android and Apple. So you kind of will go through it and see. To add any of these activities, you would simply click Add. You'll have them prompted here. You also have another option called the Mobile Toolbox. Well, this will give you even more set up for mobile toolbox, which is going to give you either English or Spanish. And you'll see the arranging pictures, arrows, again, set up for cognitive, but same thing. If you're interested in those, you would click add and it would populate them there. Another thing that I would like to share is under your MyCap options. You will go over in part 2 the app setting, but I would like to go over the additional settings. So when it comes to this section here, you have three options when it comes to your participants completing the forms. So if you are using a data quality assurance person that's going through the data, you may want to have those records to be incomplete or unverified. So once they go in, verify that data, hey, everything looks correct, good to go, then they would change it to complete section. Or if your study, it's just a pilot, you guys are going to really see what it looks like, then you also have that flexibility to do complete. The other option is your baseline date setting. I don't know if you recall earlier, but there was an action tag for MC install date. So you have two options when it comes to your baseline. Do you want it to be set up by when they installed the app? That would be then their day zero, their baseline when they installed it. Or it could be that they installed the application January 1st, but they didn't start their therapy, meaning those tasks, going through those until January 20th. And that point, January 20th, then would become the baseline. So you do have that flexibility when it comes to that section. Another thing to note when it comes to your MyCap, it's going to be a little different from regular REDCap, or if you're going through changes, you have to submit them. A REDCap administrator like us would go through them, verify everything is good, reapprove it, versus MyCap. Any changes you do make, you'll simply publish them. You're going to be prompted with this screen. After publishing a new version, your participants are going to receive these updates on their mobile device. Once they open up the new app, let them know, hey, there's been a new update. Please refresh, and they'll push through. It's also going to give you fix any errors or any changes. You'll click on that. Take a look here. So if we take a look here at tone, time walks, it's letting you know, hey, these activities have invalid schedule. And that's because if you take a look here, they haven't been enabled versus the other ones have been enabled. And it's letting you know, hey, these, you want to activate them or would you like to push them? You can still publish them. And it's letting you know, hey, these have been updated. They're going to reflect. We should be changing to version 6. But it's a neat way for you to kind of double check. You'll see that same error message by click on fix issues, and you'll be able to see those. One thing that we always recommend, especially with any REDCap project, definitely test it before you let it go live to make sure it's set up how you want it to look like. Everything is set up in the way it should be, so that way you don't have any issues. Once you've enabled everything, then your participants at that point would be able to go. For our part 2 of the presentation, we're going to dive into your participant management as well as the app setting, where you're going to be able to see how you can communicate with your participants messaging, create announcements. You're going to be able to see how you can set up the color scheme, icon, and everything. But with that, again, this is just the basic introduction. That's going to conclude our part 1 presentation from MyCAP. And with that, do you guys have any questions?
Looks good, George.
Thank you. And again, we know it's a lot of information. That's something we were diving into. How can we definitely present this? And again, our part 2 is going to go over that other, but also what we're most excited for is to show what the participant's going to go through when it goes into downloading the app, working the application, the functionality that you see, what they see. And that one will be a little bit longer, but this just gives you a little snippet of installing it, setting up your project, and more importantly, testing it out to make sure it works as you intend it to be.